For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Nolan Jamber. First three segments, NFL Draft, Lee Corso retiring, and the NBA play-in. This segment, we're going stick with the NFL, but we're talking Cleveland. The Browns, just the Browns. A lot going on in Cleveland. There's always a lot going on in Cleveland, so let's talk about them. Hang on, let me get a sip of water. After that, we're going to Nico Harrison in Dallas, talking about the Mavericks. Before we see all that, get some water. Thirsty. That break isn't long enough. That break between 3 and 4 segments is a very short break, so I don't get enough time to drink water. But let's talk about the Browns. The Cleveland Browns are, in an interesting spot, having the draft either Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. But through my last segment, I was talking about them, I said they were going to draft Travis Hunter. And I didn't want to say why, but I know why they're going to draft him, I think. And here's the reason why. Their GM, who is, what's his name again? Andrew Berry. Sorry, I forgot his name. Andrew Berry, the GM for the Cleveland Browns. He said in the quote, in the press conference interview, he said, and I quote, you get a unicorn if used both ways. He also, quote, and I said, he's comparable to, in quotes, to Ohtani, end quotes. So he's comparing him to Shohei Ohtani and saying that, he's a unicorn if used both ways. And you don't say that about a player and don't draft him. You don't say you're comparable to one of the greatest baseball players of all time, who has 3 MVPs, by the way. One of the greatest baseball two-way players of all time, possibly the greatest two-way player of all time already, and don't draft him. You just don't do that. So that's why I do think he goes to Cleveland, just because of the fact that, when your GM compares you to the greatest two-way player of all time in baseball, you definitely don't draft. If you don't draft him, I mean, come on. I mean, you gotta draft the guy at that point. I mean, just from those quotes alone, it kind of guarantees that, yeah, he's going to Cleveland. Because, I mean, why not? He's, like I said earlier, in the other segment, if you were here for that, or listening to that, he is going to fit that system phenomenal. He wants to play both ways, and he said in the interview or press conference, Travis Hunter said, if I get limited to both ways, one way, I'm not playing. I'm sitting out. He wants to play on both sides of the ball. Maybe not back-to-back. Maybe, they'll play him back-to-back and give him a rest. Like, don't play him on offense or defense for a possession and then put him back for another 2 possessions. But still, he wants to play 2 ways, and he would fit that Brown system really well. If he's playing corner, you got him paired up with Cam Ward in the safety side or on the corners. Yeah, paired up. It's a great corner duo. You got Denzel Ward and Travis Hunter. That's a phenomenal cornerback duo. Receivers, you get paired up with Jerry Jeudy, who is one of the most, I wouldn't say he's definitely an underrated receiver. He didn't get a lot of recognition last year for how well he did with Cleveland with his time there. And he's back this year. He's back for, another stint with the Cleveland Browns. And with a whole new, hopefully a whole new season, people are healthy again. It's going to be very exciting to see how they do. They signed Joe Flacco again as a quarterback. When they had Joe Flacco, they were winning games. Joe Flacco was a great quarterback. There's no way it's not his last year here in the league. He's a phenomenal player, but his time has come. He's been in the league for so long, and there's no way he sticks around even longer. But maybe it does. Who knows? But then, they got, like I said, Joe Flacco, probably the best vet quarterback in the league right now. Maybe behind Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, we'll see. But then he got, Kenny Pickett, signed in from the Eagles. He got his ring, and he's out. and he went to Cleveland. And, he's a great young quarterback. He's got a lot of potential. He's only in his third year, third year. Yeah, and he still has plenty of time to develop. Quarterbacks tend to last a while in the NFL. And, with him only being in his third year and being behind a vet like Joe Flacco, that's going to help his progress so much. And he's going to prosper into a good young quarterback when Joe Flacco inevitably retires or leaves Cleveland again. He's gonna be the one to go to. Then he got, Deshaun Watson. Obviously, it's Deshaun Watson. He's been hurt. He got hurt again in the offseason. He's probably have to sit out the first 2 weeks of the year. But if he plays good, like he's supposed to be playing, the reason the Browns signed him is because the way he played in Houston, and he was a phenomenal quarterback in Houston. He came to Cleveland, didn't play very good, at all. Got hurt. And then he came back, got hurt again. I mean, if Deshaun Watson can finally, he's finally be healthy, it's probably be his last injury, hopefully. He gets all the rust off finally after 2 years, 3 years. And, what he did at Houston was phenomenal. He was one of the best quarterbacks. He's probably the best quarterback in Houston Texans history. Obviously, they're a pretty new franchise, only coming into the early 2000s. He's the best quarterback their franchise has ever seen. And when he was healthy, you saw him play when he was healthy. He led them to the AFC Divisional, lost to the Chiefs, or lost to the Bills, blew that lead against the Chiefs another year. It was just horrible. But you can see how good he plays when he's healthy. And he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league when he's healthy. But if he comes back from injury, fully ready to play, ready to go, and he says, I'm ready to play, I'm ready, put me in, and he proves himself, this Cleveland Browns team will be very, very good. And with them, hopefully adding Travis Hunter and then trading up, maybe getting another, D-lineman, receiver, who knows. This team is going to be a very, very good team. And especially if they don't, re-sign Nick Chubb, there's a lot of young running backs in the NFL, market right now. Like, a lot of guys coming into the draft who are going to make a big name for themselves. One of those guys, obviously, you get Ashton Genty. He'll be gone. He obviously won't be there by the time, the Browns are up again. He'll be gone. He'll be probably the Raiders. You got a lot of other guys who could fall. Like, you got Cam Scadaboo, phenomenal running back for ASU. Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. A sleeper, Khalil Mullings out of Michigan. Maybe even, Donovan Edwards out of Michigan, Travis Etienne's little brother out of Georgia. There's a lot of good players, a lot of good running backs in the draft this year, and it's going to be very interesting to see what the Browns do, how they handle all these guys coming in, what they want to do with them. It's going to be exciting. The Browns are going to be one of those teams this year that either going to be, it could be like another 2021 situation, where they got Baker Mayfield. And they won playoff games. They won one playoff game, but still, they beat the brakes off Ben Roethlisberger. And it's gonna be one of those years where they come in with force, come in and dominate, or they're gonna end up, just being a bad team again and rebuild and tanking for next year again. Which I really hope is not the case, because I do, even though I'm born and raised Detroit Lions fan, always and forever, I do enjoy watching the Browns. I've always enjoyed watching them. Since, Baker Mayfield got there, that's when I started watching them and, actually caring for the team, hoping they do well. But with him gone, I still enjoy watching the Browns. I don't really, enjoy watching the Browns, but I did watching Jameis Winston last year. Who didn't? But watching them lose always sucked. But the team in general is a fun team to watch. And with all the, these guys coming in, Travis Hunter's hopefully going to be a Brown. There's no way he's not after what the GM said. But it's going to be very interesting to see, how this organization reacts, what they do, who they draft, all that stuff. So, at the end of the day, like I said last segment, it's all going to come down to next week in Green Bay. Second overall pick, hopefully Travis Hunter. After that, it's up to the organization. See what they got. That's all I got for this segment. Next and final segment, we're going Nico Harris, the GM for Dallas Mavericks. Talk about him after the break.